This is my TikTok down over. Um, where's my? Oh, okay, down here. I'm ridiculously fucking discombobulated looking at a side monitor trying to control cursor. Anyway, it's my TikTok down there. Okay, now we're gonna watch this TikTok I posted, and then I'm gonna show you why people who are communists are stupid as fuck, because it's just astounding. And personally, I think that it needs to be called out because people are convinced through propaganda efforts and just ignorance that communism is somehow a good system. And they do this through an entire effort of simply not ever actually giving communism a try. So we're going to watch this so you guys have context as to how dumb this is, because to understand how this commie catches L's, you'd have to have the context of the video. So we're going to watch this, and then we'll talk about it. So this is just to give this question here a little bit of context. So a little bit of background. My dad's best friend was like an uncle to me. He's black as night, literally one of those guys who's so black he's got that purple hue in his skin, and you won't His name
see
was
him
Vince.
on a midnight day, no, with the new moon, and not smiling at you. Okay, wouldn't know. And even if he smiled, you wouldn't know. He didn't have teeth. Anyway,
Literally none.
he was so close to us. Not only did he call us his nephews, not only did he treat us like his nephews, his daughters and I, well, and my siblings, still all refer to each other as cousin. Not only that, my stepdad, also black, and my stepdad's the one who made me feel this way about this entire situation. His response to being called African American was, and I quote, "Do not fucking call me African American."
It was actually the only thing I ever saw make him mad.
I have never been to Africa. I'm an American. I don't know shit about Africa. I've never been there. I don't care about their culture. It's not my culture. I have an American culture. I am an American. So, question is, why should I call you an African American? All that does is separate you from the rest of us, and it really just kind of builds the narrative of, well, nobody in this country cares about us. This country doesn't care about us. This country's never cared about us, and blah. Well, this country's society, not politics, but society, has also demanded that we call you African American. They don't demand we call people from Latin America, or Hispanic American. They don't demand we call Asians, Asian American. They don't demand we call white people European American. So why do we have to call you African American and separate you from the rest of us? Now, if you have a dual citizenship, okay, I understand. But if
it's fair
you're an
play.
American citizen, why should I care? And more importantly, why should I even just break it down by nationality at all? It is, in reality, you're human first. So why should I break it down further and not just look at you as a human being? But I think the better question here may even, instead of this question, may actually be, who came up with calling people African American, and what was their impact on African American society? Because it seems like it was done to keep them separate from the rest of the country, and that's pretty fucking racist. So this is
So that was my video for context, right? And it's really that simple. Now we'll switch over to this one here so you guys can read this. Also, if you're paying attention, if you look at this, you'd see my comforter is back here. I'm getting ready for bed. Okay, that's when I look at TikTok. I've taken a shower. I'm getting ready for bed. All right. So, I agree. Good thought. I agree. I was born in America. I'm an American. I am a Texan. And Texans are Americans. Okay. Texas isn't a state in the Americas, so until they like actually secede to become their own nation again, like you're literally just an American. I'm not going to separate you further. It's dumb. And you just basically have more and more and more of the same thing there. It's a valid point. If you were born and raised in America, you're an American. Here's the thing is, you don't have to just be born and raised in America. Like I said, you can just become an American citizen and you're an American. Why should... I don't give a shit. You're an American. It's that simple. This person went on like a thing about different places in Europe, as if I didn't point this out. Like, my entire point is that your ancestry does not define you at all, and there's no reason to break people down that way. And then you have pink sharks, and we'll pull this up so that you can see where I got this, because I don't want you to think I did this some random shit. But here you go, right there. Manifest, Revolution, and the hammer and sickle there, right? So there you have it. Hammer and sickle. So not only is he communist, he's specifically a communist who thinks the USSR is good, even though, I don't know, they've been a failed country that hasn't existed in 32 years now, right? Go figure. So he says, I mean, it's bad enough being called American, which is typical of communists to say. Communists and socialists say this all the time. Oh, it's bad being called American, blah, 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 America sucks, all those types of things. And then I can see why people would want to be separate from Americans, which implies that he would like to separate himself from being called an American. He doesn't like America. He thinks it's bad being called American. So I replied, says the guy repping the hammer and sickle, lol. Because to me it's funny that you want to separate yourself from being an American. You rep a hammer and sickle, but you live in America. And the reason that's funny to me is because communism and socialism are antithetical to the foundational principles of America's society, being that the United States of America is founded as a democratically elected republic, not a democracy, a republic. We democratically elect our leaders, but we're not a democracy. We are a republic. It's very different things, and the reason for that is because democracy, very similarly to socialism and communism, always devolves, when you look at it historically, they always devolve into being a dictatorship that is ruled in either a totalitarian or an authoritarian style regime. So, I mean, there you have it. And in reality, like, if you actually read the documents and the discussions that the founding fathers of the United States of America had, they decided on a republic because a republic offers the ability to remain a free society with an emphasis on liberty, which is what they valued most. So that's why repping the hammer, and so that's why that's funny, and why I pointed out, and this is also common, right? I point out the fact that he's repping the hammer and sickle because he thinks it's bad being called an American, but he reps the hammer and sickle because typically if you're going to say that America is bad and being considered an American is negative in some way, you're discussing this from a perspective of American history and the flaws that America has had. We had slavery. Yes. We were also debating slavery in 1777. It was debated before we actually became a nation. It was very divided as to whether or not we should have slavery. In fact, when we established ourselves as a nation, 9 of the 13 states, like colonies that had become states, had already outlawed slavery. So, but they'll point to slavery every time. Then they'll point to how we treated the Native Americans. Once again, hammer and sickle. You can go ahead and just type in a Google search or a DuckDuckGo, whatever search engine you like. Go buy a book, go to the library and pick up an encyclopedia and just read about it. You could use Wikipedia if you want. It's not the greatest source, but you could use it. And you can just look up Stalin, and you could look up, damn, I just lost his name. Lenin. Okay, you look up Stalin, and you could look up Lenin, and you can look up the tens of millions of people that each one of them killed. It's not like one of them killed 10 million and the other one killed 5 million, or one of them killed 6 and the other killed 4. No, they each killed tens of millions of their own citizens. Okay, own citizens. The United States of America was at war with the Native Americans, which some people think was necessary and some people think was not. It all depends on the perspective of it. I'm not going to get into it because the fact is they were not American citizens. USSR was killing its own citizens. So you would rather be associated with that than America. Which is why it's funny to me that he's repping a hammer and sickle and talking shit about being an American. So, duh, says the guy replying to the thing I said. Like what? This guy hasn't got the wrinkles on his brain to even consider having a second brain cell to rub against the first one and form any kind of coherent thought. Because as I said, this is my TikTok. It's mine. This is my content. This idiot's on my content, amazed that I responded to him, pointing out that he's dumb when he tried to talk shit about what I said. Incredible. Like, come on now. So I said, yes, to the video I posted, just go live in Russia. Because it's as close to the USSR as you can get. Is once again, it hasn't been a country in more than 30 years. Like, you don't have to be in America or really any other Western nation. We don't force you. We really don't. Like, you can come and become an American citizen. You could go become a citizen in the UK. You could become a citizen of South Ireland. You could become a citizen of Germany, of France. You could become a citizen of Canada. You could become a citizen of any nation of your choice. And there's not a repercussion to it aside from maybe renouncing your citizenship here. But once again, you could also just be a dual citizen. Right? Like, if you think that it's better and you don't want to be part of America, my entire point was it's all based on citizenship. So just go do the thing that you think is better, right? It's like, makes sense that a bald-ass, shirtless white man, once again, my comforter behind me, I'm getting ready for bed. 2 syllables away from saying, I don't see in color, says that. Now, it's funny to me because these people typically, like commies that is, typically also align themselves to the Democratic Party, who align themselves to equity and progressiveness and tolerance and anti-bigotry, but this dude is this bald, shirtless white man. He's trying to insinuate that I am a white supremacist. That's what that is. He's trying to insinuate that I'm a white supremacist because male pattern baldness occurs in most men. Why would I not just shave my head when all of this is so thin, there's not really anything to do with it? So I just cut it off. Like, oh no, I've survived more orbits around the sun than you. You really got me there, hurt my feeling, oh no. And somehow, 2 syllables away from saying I don't see in color, as if somehow saying all people should be viewed as people before nationalities. And rather than saying that someone who's an American is some other thing and then an American to separate us as Americans and create division so that people like this idiot can have some sort of foothold into usurping the entire nation that people flee to from other parts of the world to get away from the exact things that he's espousing and supporting with that hammer and sickle. They come here to get away from that ideology. And he's making things about race. And he's making insinuations that I am somehow racist. Because somehow saying that it's more important that when you see someone who's black, recognize that they're a human before you give a single fuck about the melatonin in their skin. Who cares? Or the melanin in their skin. Melatonin. That's just because I don't sleep. Anyway, the amount of melanin in your skin doesn't define you, right? As Martin Luther King famously said, I have a dream that my daughters will grow up in a world where a man is judged on the content of their character and not the color of their skin. That was a flawed man, but damn. I've known you for 20 years. Shaving your head is a matter of convenience. Exactly. I'm just fucking lazy, man. For real. Like, I'm lazy. It's easier. Especially when, like, I can't do anything with my hair I'd like to do because it's too thin here now. Like, congratulations. It's just commie L's, man. So he went on that crap, and I was just like, okay, dude, you're the one saying you would want to be distanced from America. It's simple, so just do it. So his response to this is to call me Shia LaBeouf, as if somehow calling me a younger man than me, who's more financially successful than me, is an insult. I don't understand, but okay. He's a little crazy, but you know, child actor, child celebrities, those people tend to have some issues. Big deal. We're all flawed. Then he calls me the Kanye West of Kim Kardashians, because apparently Kim Kardashian is a plural group of people, saying work harder, as if in some way me saying, dude, like, it's simple to just move to a place that you would rather be. All you have to do is do it. Like, nobody's stopping you, just go. As if I'm somehow saying pick yourself up by your bootstraps, which is a nonsense statement to make. It's not just like, people don't start life at the same place. A guy who built a raft that barely floats to get his family from Cuba to America, knowing that his family that stayed in Cuba, as well as his neighbors in Cuba, are going to be persecuted for them leaving the country and fleeing the country, to come to America where he doesn't know anyone, probably die on the way, and then not have a job secured, not have a home secured, not know where, so he doesn't know where he's going to live. He doesn't know how he's going to make any kind of money. So he doesn't know how he's going to have food for his family. Don't know how they're going to provide any kind of water or food or shelter for their family. But they're just like, hell, I'm going to make it work. Those people legitimately find a way to pick themselves up by their bootstraps. It is possible. It's just like, it is a dumb statement to tell people to do. And this guy's acting like somehow I'm making a statement like that. So I just pointed out, like, none of that makes any sense. If you think the hammer and sickle is better and separating from America is better than being an American, simply do it. Because citizenship is a choice. This is a commie L lacking the conviction to actually go become a communist and instead remain here. Which is exactly what they're doing. They always do this shit. Oh, America sucks so bad that I'm going to stay in America instead of going to the country that's as close to the hammer and sickle that I think is better than the stars and stripes. Like, dude, I disagreed with this country to such a point that to challenge my own convictions, I joined the military to see if it was worth what this country's supposed to be for. But these fake communists who demand that they get to have freedom of speech because they're in America, and so they do get to have freedom of speech, quite obviously, like to sit here and pretend that somehow having access to American culture, American society, and American rights and liberties somehow isn't contradictory to their antithetical viewpoint of being a communist. And they never once set up anything. Like, they could get together with their like-minded friends, buy a ghost town. It's got roads and shit, right? It's a ghost town. They are for sale. And establish their own communist community within America. And they don't do that either. They just demand that we all uproot our lives, throw away the tens of millions, hundreds of millions of lives here that have come here to get away from that lifestyle, to have something different, something they believe would be better for their family, as well as to uproot the hundreds of millions of Americans who believe that this is a better system in order to appease this shit, because these idiots lack conviction and resolve. It's amazing to me that these people actually think that they have something bouncing around in their head that's a good idea. It's just incredible. So then he says, are you purposefully saying things that are increasingly dumber than the last thing you said because dumber is a word now? Or is that just a consequence of associating with you? Because he has to deflect because he has no idea how to respond to the fact that this in fact is a communist L by remaining in a country that is antithetical, that you're bashing, that you say you wouldn't want to be part of, that you say you would want to separate yourself from, but you won't separate from it. I think it's hilarious to sit and look at, to be quite honest. Like, I gave this dude the opportunity to realize he was fucking up. And then he took a backhoe and dug himself a fucking 10-mile deep hole toward the core of the earth that he's now just incapable of getting out of and just keeps making deeper. And it's just amazing. So this is going to become a video on YouTube to highlight the idiocy of the communist people. That way, if you're somebody who goes through and you go and watch Hassan on Twitch, or you'd think the Young Turks are great and like Cenk Uygur and AOC and all these other people, then ask yourself, why is it that none of these people are willing to leave America and go live in a country that shares their beliefs? Why do they stay here if their idea is so great? If they had any conviction, they would do it. If they actually believed in what they are saying and proposing, they would do it. But they're not even willing to challenge their own beliefs.